Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the She Is Unleashed podcast, the podcast for high performing, faith driven women called to lead, build, and rise without sacrificing their peace, their purpose, or presence. I'm your host, Dr. Mirriam Knight. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and an executive transformational coach for high performing leaders that are looking to lead, to expand, to align, and to lead from a place of healing and wholeness instead of toxicity and depletion. So if you've ever felt like you're juggling 100 spinning plates while trying to scale your business, to manage your team, or just make it through the week without burning out, this conversation and this episode is for you. This conversation is for every overwhelmed leader that needs a way out. We're diving into how to build high performing teams without losing your sanity, without losing your mind. And joining us today is someone who literally encapsulates and embodies this, who brings the strategy, the soul, and the systems to make that possible. I'm going to butcher it again. Sygie?
Sygie.
Sygie, okay. She is the founder of Rich Marketing Systems. She's a certified disc trainer and the woman behind over 100 successful founder transitions from chaos to clarity. Y'all, if you don't need this episode, I know I need it. So, sis, thank you for your yes, and thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mirriam. Thank you for your invitation. I'm excited to be here today.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself before we go into all the nitty gritties. Tell us a little bit about who you are,
Okay.
what you do, and what led you to what you actually do right now.
Okay. I'm going to try to summarize it a little bit because I feel like it's been a journey.
Uh-huh.
um, so I am located in Georgia. I'm a girl mom. I am kind of a newly, I guess, single. I went through a divorce earlier, some years ago, rather, at this point. So and I'm leading with that because that was really the transition into the business that I have today.
Mm.
So I was in sales, had been in sales for so many years. And I thought the company I was working for, I really felt like this is it. This is the company I'm going to retire from because I was seeing so many people. I was like the kid on the block. And I
Mm-hmm.
would see so many, senior sales reps like looking through the magazine, talk about their pension, and so I'm getting excited, like, oh, that's gonna be me, and that totally did not happen because one day we were sitting in a conference call or Zoom. It wasn't Zoom at that time. It was like a conference call. They called
Mm-hmm.
in on the phone. I don't even know. I don't think Zoom was even a thing then. But we were on a conference call with the home office, and on cue, they were, dictating the meeting, and the sheriff, like a swarm of sheriff, were walking into the office, escorting everyone one by one out of the office. They were shutting things down immediately.
Wow.
They were like, get your stuff, not our files, not our pens, not our computers, the bag that you brought in, get out. Do not come back in. So at that moment, I'm walking to my car because things were happening so fast. We didn't even have time to think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm walking to that car, and I can see all these people that had been planning their retirement in tears, like what is about to happen. And I just remember walking to my car like, whew, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
Instantly. And so at that time, I had started to desire something more, but I didn't really know what more looked like at that
Mm-hmm.
time. And to be honest, I just feel like that transition was a blessing from God because it gave me space to think,
Mm-hmm.
gave me space to be creative and just try things. And so I've always been like, before I call myself a systems girl or, automations girl, I guess I had those things. Like I always had a rhythm to doing things, and people would call
Mm-hmm.
me for things like that. So I basically was my first client. I started a blog. It was called cgsays.com. And this was back. Like I was scheduling content And I was sitting there talking to people, and they were like, "How did you just post that?" And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"What?" Because like social media posts were scheduled to post, but I would be sitting there talking. They're like, "How did you post that fast?" I'm like, "Girl, oh, I did that like 2 weeks ago."
That was before it was a thing.
Before it was a thing, right?
Uh-huh.
So, never thought that would be, a way to make money or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that. But as time moved on, my marriage, I decided to complete my marriage. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where it transitioned into me, having to be independent, especially when it comes to finances and things like that. And I knew I was in a space where I needed to make more money, but I did not have more time. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to take on like this, I don't want to say the typical, but you know how get a second job. And I
Yes.
didn't want to do those things because I knew I didn't want someone else to like I didn't want daycare to raise my kids. I wanted to be there to for when they have cheerleading practice or a soccer game. I wanted to just
Mhm.
take my time. And I had a friend who had a virtual assistant agency. And one day she posted that she was having a workshop. And I signed up. And honestly, I was the only person that signed up. She told me this years later. I was the only person that signed up. So she literally just gave me the game, everything. So that's how I jumped into just like virtual assistance. Like I didn't even know
Mhm.
that was the thing. She helped me so much, and I just started focusing on systems and automation. And then
Mhm.
one of my clients were um, like, "Can you help me hire someone?" Just like that. She was like, "I
Mhm.
know," and I was like, "Why did you think of me?" And she was like, "I know you can do it. Like, can you help me find like hire someone?" So from there, it just took on a whole new life. And I was like, it was basically just a smaller niche to what I was already doing, basically helping women free up their time.
Come on.
So not just with technology, but with people as well.
Mhm.
So years later, here is Reach Marketing Systems, still helping women, control their time and
Mhm.
getting away from these computers.
Absolutely. I mean, it's such a rare commodity time.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
this conversation could not come at a better time for me personally. So I'm just going to let you know while you're talking, I'm going to be taking notes
Absolutely.
because I need this too.
Mhm.
um, thank you so much for that introduction. It's amazing how I said this yesterday to someone, how God uses our personal stories to navigate us through spaces so that we can, in freeing ourselves, we can then free other people and show them the way to freedom. One of my favorite movies of all time is Harriet Tubman's story.
Mhm.
And being Moses, being that liberator, being that one that frees other people. And when you talk about freeing up time to be present in the things that really matter while not worrying about the money, money still making itself.
Oh my goodness, I love her story as well. And one quote that comes to mind when I think about Harriet Tubman is, she said she freed, I forgot what's the number, so many, but she could have
Mhm.
freed so many more had they known they were a slave. And that just, I feel like because oh my goodness, it's like it doesn't have to be like this.
Mm-mm.
Doesn't have to be like this. And that's one of the things that I fight so hard against is this hustle culture,
Mm-hmm.
always having to be on, always feeling like you got to be on social media, always just going. And like you said, it couldn't have come at a better time. But I mean, I have those days as well. Even this morning, I was talking to some of my friends. We call our group chat the boardroom. And we were all just talking about like how important being able to take sabbaticals away from your business is, because
Mm-hmm.
you are not a robot.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Chat GPT, you cannot always be on.
No. And I mean, I saw this post, I think Drea posted it yesterday, of a woman that had been working like 7 days a week and laid down and said she needed just to take a nap and rest, and that was it. And the funny thing is, literally, someone that used to babysit my husband, this happened maybe a year or two ago. She was in the nursing industry, and she literally said to people, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to lay down here and take a nap. And that was it. She did not wake up. And it's such a jarring wake up call when we see things like that. But the funny thing is, we're so used to hearing these traumatic experiences that we register it and then we dismiss it without recognizing that that person could be you and I if we don't change something.
We don't.
Um, but
Right.
we're so used to doing the things, Whew.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so one of the things we talk about, structure. Why are systems and structures so personal to, first of all, your own healing journey and your own growth journey as a leader? And then we're going to talk about that into, again, what you just talked about, this survival mode, this hustle mode that so many women, especially if you're a single mom, especially this pressure to do it all.
Right. Oh, okay. So I feel like that's a loaded question. This structure. There is, so back in the day, I branded myself as a creative
Mm-hmm.
when I first started my virtual assistant business. When I started serving, I really wanted to focus on creatives.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like creatives were so misunderstood. People didn't understand them. Oh, it's so many creatives. I can help them. I can help them. And then I realized through my own journey
Mm-hmm.
what the problem was. And that is, even creativity needs structure. You can't just wing anything. And I feel like I said, I think I was definitely was my first client. So
Mm-hmm.
I would feel like having too much. If I can do what I want to do, a lot of people think that in entrepreneurship, I do what I want to. I wake up when I want to. I go to sleep when I want to. I take 3-hour breaks and 2-hour lunches, and that was the worst mistake ever. Let me tell you. I'm telling you what I know.
Uh-huh.
And so, like I recognized that was the mistake I was making early on. So
Mm-hmm.
as I recognized my own mistakes, I could see it in others. And people would fight me on it. Like, my business doesn't work like that. My business is different. They would just give me all of these excuses
Mm-hmm.
for why, because they were creative or their business was creative, that they could not have structure.
Mm.
And these were the same people that were having to drink a bottle of wine every night before going to bed. Their marriages were falling apart. Their kids were all over the place. And I had to let them see, here's the thing. Yes, on your best days, you're able to show up. But I
Mm-hmm.
honestly don't create systems or structure for the best days. I learned to create structure for the worst days of my life when I
Mm-hmm.
can't show up.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I remember going through building a business and going through a divorce. It's so funny to even talk about this. Going through, a lot of times, my business still had to show up because
Mm-hmm.
when I was in court, even when my kids were gone and I only had 4 hours to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I could not count on me feeling like doing business just because, my life had time
Come on.
to, I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
switch on and off. So that's what structure does. Like I said, when most of the time I tell people, don't think about, oh, um, I'm gonna show up. This is why people come to me. They come to me to get me. Yes, they do. But when people come to you and they don't get the best of you, that's when we're gonna have the problems.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think structure is overcomplicated sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Structure doesn't always have to be automation.
Yeah.
Structure can be deciding um, on Tuesdays are my call days. On Thursdays, I send the email. On Wednesdays, I write the email.
Mm-hmm.
Structure can be creating a onboarding system.
Mm-hmm.
Structure can be having a sales system where you do things the same way over and over. Because a lot of times now I talk a lot about decision fatigue. We don't realize how many decisions we're making every single day. And when you have structure, though, you just get to make less decisions every day. So the ones that you do make are more important. You get to really
Absolutely.
like show up for yourself. You get to show up more for your client. And I think
Mm-hmm.
the misconception or the myth with structure is it's about taking away. I won't be able to do this. I'll be able to, I won't be able to do as much. But really, you
Mm-hmm.
get to do a lot more. You get to spend more time with your family.
Mm-hmm.
You get to be more of the queen bee role versus
Mm-hmm.
doing things that probably don't even need to be done. Because sometimes when I work with people, even when you're not ready to hire, that just doesn't need to be done. Like, we don't even need to delegate to this to anyone. Why are you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't need to be done anyway.
Yeah.
So,
I remember so going through school, they don't teach you the business side of stuff. They teach you the clinical parts. And
right.
so I enrolled in a private practice coaching group to learn the business side of stuff because I was struggling with that. And
Hmm.
I remember being told by my coach to do a time audit. And I had resistance against that because that meant I had to log what I actually do and what I'm actually doing with my time. Why do I feel like I'm so busy all the time? Do I really need to be doing all these things? And I had a conversation with my CPA the other day, and she was referred to be my private practice coach.
Hmm.
And I was like, because I was about to cut that contract, and she's like, wait, wait a minute, hold on, you're locked into a contract. Let's talk about why you want to cut me out. And I was like, I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I'm just finding things to cut out. And she's like, well, this is not the one you need to cut out, but let's talk about what's going on with your time. And she was like, we need to do this, and we need to do this. And I was like, you know what, all you're telling me is already in my schedule. The key component though is sticking to it and actually following through on, I have these blocks, I have these spaces, but do I actually do the integrity of sticking to the promises that I make to myself to put these systems in place and not just have them in paper, but to actually do the things that I know are going to create this time and space to breathe. Um,
That is true. That is so true. And one thing that I have my clients do sometimes is because I work with a lot of um, creative entrepreneurs, or just creative thinkers, even if their business isn't considered creative, they have their way of doing things. And we get a lot of ideas. I'm saying we because I'm in this too.
Listen, I got like, I said to someone the other day, I have like 100 different dialogues that are going on in the
All at
background
the
of my
same time.
head.
So I know also Ed because I'm like, listen, we're twins. I get it. I'm not just fussing at you. I'm telling you what I know. But one thing that I encourage them to do is start an idea box, because every idea isn't not a right now idea. And so it's just like a index card box, and get some index cards. And when you think of an idea, I always put it by the month, like January through December. And hey, right now, because I feel like that's where the overwhelm coming in, as when we're like, okay, I got to do this right now. I got this good idea at 3 o'clock in the morning. Let me go ahead and get started. But you already have this other thing planned out that's not even finished yet. So what if you let's table this idea? Not that let's not do it ever, but write it out. Brain dump your ideas on this card. And hey, maybe in August, maybe in November, let's circle back to that.
Mm-hmm.
How it can integrate into what we're already doing, that we've already planned out. So let's see how we can integrate these ideas into whatever is happening in that season. So you never feel like you're losing an idea. I think that's what
Yeah.
we as creators sometimes feel like FOMO, like fear of missing out. But it's not fear, it's not missing out. It's just not right. It's just not the right
Mhm.
time.
When
But
we
I
don't,
definitely encourage ideas.
when we don't
Okay.
act on it immediately. That's really key. What
Mhm.
you just said, like the fear of missing out on or losing the idea and the need to act on something immediately. Not everything has to be, which speaks into that survival mode, right?
Mhm.
Where we constantly feel like the hustle, the now, no, everything is urgent.
Mhm. Yes. And structure takes discipline as well,
Mm.
because you have to be able and willing to do what you said you were going to do.
Yes. Now, a lot of people that resist this, they feel like whenever I put structure, and I remember my husband saying this a while ago, like, don't give me lists. I have enough lists at my job. Like, I don't need lists when I come home. And when it comes to my own business, I want the freedom to do things at my own pace, like you said earlier.
Mhm.
How do you shift that mindset to see structure as not something that's suffocating me, but something that's actually freeing me, where it's not a control, but it's support?
Mhm.
And when you speak, what I'm envisioning, because I see in pictures, is I see a support structure. I see a framework that
Right.
is allowing you to know where to hang things and where to position things. But how
Mhm.
do we make that mind shift where we don't see structure as something that is restricting us?
Right. So I would say a lot of times, and since we're talking about team, team can be any person more than yourself, one other
Hmm.
person. So I would say a lot of times people are resistant to, like you said, feeling like they're put in a box. But when they sometimes they don't know the full plan, or they don't know how this small piece affects a bigger piece.
Hmm.
So I would just say communication, as far as communication and communicating the need, why, and why needs to happen now. Why
Hmm.
it needs to happen now. And I also think sometimes this is where communication styles come into play, because a lot of times when people have like a dominant personality, it's like, I need it done now. When I tell you to do it, I want it done now. But sometimes when you are more like a consistent personality, you're like, I need the details. So I think sometimes even when we're creating structure, we have to know our communication style, not just our communication style, but our team members' communication styles, to know if I want CG to do this by August 1st, when should I start this process to tell them?
Hmm.
Because sometimes some people, you can send it to them on August 1st and it'll be done.
Hmm.
Some people need time to prepare. And I
Yeah.
know that's not always life, but it really comes down to um, knowing the person you're communicating, knowing the goal, who you're giving the goal to, and how they receive communication.
That is so good.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned, as I was going through the forum, like you mentioned that a lot of people, especially women, are operating and running their businesses from memory.
Mhm.
Talk to us a little bit about that, what that means as opposed to what you're teaching and empowering them to do, and how detaching from that practice of, oh, this is just how I do it, how I've always done it. Like, what is operating from memory versus operating with systems and structure look like? What is that difference? And if they don't do that, if we don't do, if I don't do that, what
Right.
is the toll that this will take on me mentally, emotionally, spiritually? Like, how does it affect my leadership?
Hmm. So if you continue to run your business off of memory, you will continue to be the only person that runs your business. And I also shared, when, before this conversation, you asked a great question, and it was, what made me so passionate about starting this business? And I always tell people, I learned that a statistic that really disturbed me, and it was that women of color are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side to that statistics is we're also the fastest failing group.
Ooh.
It was hard to hear. Yeah. Yeah. And the reason being is because we stay stuck in mom and pop mode too long.
Mm-hmm.
We stay solo entrepreneurs for too long. We make our businesses our babies, our children, and we want our businesses to be dependent on us so much, like
Mm-hmm.
we're being operators versus striving to be CEOs.
Yes.
So to answer your question, saying a memory, keeping your business workflows and systems all in your head, it just means that when you leave, the business will leave as well.
Mm-hmm.
When you're tired, the business will be tired. When you don't feel like it, the business won't run. It'll just be you.
Now I'm guilty of that. Yep.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times, and I'm guilty of this, like, and I had to learn how to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
I even before I started managing teams and working with other people in my home, like I said, that transition to being a single
Mm-hmm.
mom, um, I have amazing support system. But the thing about it is, you can have an amazing support system, you can have an amazing team, but when no one knows what is going on or how to help you,
Yeah.
like having nothing. That's
Mm-hmm.
even so, like, I started systemizing everything, even down to like what we were gonna eat on certain days. And it seems repetitive, but it really freed up
Mm-hmm.
my thinking cells. So I would know, even if my mom was like, "Hey, what are the girls eating tonight?" I, I can tell you, because, or she'll like, I'm gonna get pizza." Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
But that freed up something else
Mm-hmm.
I can think about. But if people don't know how to help you, how to support you, it's like I'm screaming, I'm in pain, but nobody knows, like, did she, was she stabbed? Or did she get shot? Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Anytime somebody is asking for help, like your coach said, it has to be an audit, it has to be an assessment to begin with, because we got
Mm-hmm.
to know, how can I help you. Now,
Yes.
the thing about it is, when you document things, you don't have to answer that question as much, because I can look and see. I can look and see,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
I'm looking at this. This is done. This is done. So it looks like we're on step number 4,
Mm-hmm.
and I can take it from there.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing to do is need help. Somebody is asking, "What can I do?" and then I have to explain to you what to do. That's the wrong. That's the wrong. It's horrible.
Mhm.
Like,
Especially when you're in, like you said, those moments when you don't feel like it, the moments when you're unable to.
mm-hmm.
Like, and I love what you said earlier. I'm not building systems for just the good times. I'm
Yeah.
building systems and structure for the bad times when I can't show up,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't do the things that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And literally in the season, God has convicted me. Like, I am part of a 2 business cohorts right now. And I remember towards the end of one of um, the introductory welcome session, everyone was like, "How do I get more clients? How do I get more clients?" And I said, "I don't want no more clients, because I can't take any more clients. I'm maxed out, because it literally, my business revolves around me. And God has me in a season right now where he's saying, I need to restructure this whole business from the ground up, because what you're doing is not sustainable. You've got to build something that outlives you." And I think a lot of people, we want our name, we want our mark on it, we want
We
it.
want to be on the flyer. We want to, yeah, girl, yeah.
But it's not sustainable, and we literally feel like we're drowning, and we feel so worn out. But it's that insistence, and God had to tell me in certain spaces this week. He said, I need you to put down your pride, and I need you to put down your ego, and I need you to put down your trauma too from asking for help, because you want to be able to say, I did it. But how's that benefiting you right now? You know, Is it okay if they don't do it the way you do it? Is it okay if the work is done and it doesn't carry your sprinkle? Being able to release that control and maybe even deal with the trauma root issues that are keeping you from releasing control and needing to have it all in your own head and not wanting to share.
Yeah, it's always, I've realized, and I'm definitely not a therapist, but I always recommend people that I work with, like, yeah, let's start seeking that support.
Mm-hmm.
There's always more to the story.
Absolutely. Now, you've helped over 100 founders move from founder-led chaos to executive CEO delegation. So, what is one of the first red flags that someone is still operating like a service provider, not a CEO?
One of the first signs, I think to me, it is, that's a good question. The first sign, I hate to say it, but it's more of like when it's equivalent to when someone probably should, it's like mental health. It feels like on the brink of a mental, like a
breakdown.
Right. I'm like, how do I say this?
You're burnt out. You're tapped out.
Yes. And it's over emotional. It's, or sometimes it's so many. It depends on the person's personality a lot of times. Like I can look on social media and see when people are going through episodes, because sometimes it can be either, for high performing women is different. Because when a high performing a woman feels like they're not meeting the mark, in which when you're running your business by yourself, a lot of times you won't. So when a high performing woman feels like she's not meeting the mark, what does she do? She overperforms. So that means, I haven't posted in 2 weeks. So today, let me post 20 times.
Okay, you're doing too much.
Yeah, then you overly perform. That's why I'm like, it just looks, I think that's the first sign you're overly performing. Maybe that's the first sign, is overperformance. And it's more so you start performing versus operating
That's
your
so
business.
good.
Because a lot of times you're like, what are they? You start thinking, what are they saying? Can they see that I'm dropping balls? How will they know I'm not getting it right? So you start performing. You may, oh, let me change my hair. It'll be everything but let me do this. Let me create structure and systems in my business. It will be everything but that. That's always a sign when a lot of things start changing, or you're overly something. And it's usually you don't hardly ever show up sad. Like on the outside, it won't look sad. It'll look like, girl, I just changed my hair. I just felt like something new.
It doesn't feel authentic. It feels
Anyway, you're like, okay, it's
something's
cute,
off.
girl, but okay, something's off. And that's why it was hard for me to put in words. It is, you can hear it. I can see it. So, like I said, on social media, sometimes I'm just like, okay, Sometimes I don't even know the people, but if I start seeing, because every entrepreneur has a rhythm. And so that's why you can never like look at somebody else's blueprint and like, oh, I'm gonna do that exact same thing, because you have a different rhythm. And a lot of times the first sign of your operating in chaos is you get out of your rhythm.
That's so good.
Yeah. I'm guilty sometimes.
Ooh, okay, so you talk about some of the myths around team building is a belief that you need to hire a VA tomorrow and that will be the answer to your burnout. Talk to us a little bit about that. Why is that a myth? Because I mean, I was ready to hire my VA right now. So tell me why I should not.
Okay. And here's the thing. When I started saying that, Mirriam, it sounded like I was bashing the VAs. Like, oh, you don't need a VA. Not what I'm saying at all. It's not what I'm saying at all, because the problem is with that, when you just say, I think how amazing virtual assistants has been weaponized so much to where people feel like that's a less form. Like, I'll just get a VA. I'll just get a VA, as if it's like the second best choice. And and what I try to explain to people, virtual assistance is a wide range of things. Anytime you're offering a service on a device, that's virtual assistance. A tax professional, doctors offer virtual assistance. Accountants. It doesn't mean they're a person doing something on a computer screen doesn't mean they're less qualified, right? So the reason it's like, first of all, you're the problem. That's what basically. A lot of times at first, when I'm first saying it, it felt like people were thinking I'm trying to bash virtual assistants, and absolutely not. I started out as a virtual assistant. One of my best friends has a whole agency where she trains them. And a lot of times, like I feel like I became like the middle person, because I'm hearing these virtual assistants like, my client is crazy. Let me tell you what happened. And then on the other side, the founder or the CEO or the person, the employer, or the person hiring, she's feeling like she's been slighted. I paid them and they didn't give me what I needed, and this looks like crap, or they didn't do it on time, or I messaged them, they just now messaging me back. Like, it's always, and so that's where that communication lies. But to be honest, when it's your business, you have to take the responsibility. So before you hire, you should systemize.
What I'm hearing is you can't hire someone unless you know what it is you're hiring them for.
And it doesn't mean like don't hire anyone. Of course, you can hire someone to organize your things. You can hire someone to set up your systems, set up your automation. But a lot of times people are thinking that a virtual assistant is just like can do everything. Like, and that's not the case. Like, there are dedicated people that do dedicated things. And if you're hiring a virtual assistant to manage your emails or whatever the case may be, organize your Google Drive, you can't think they're going to create the system for you, because a lot of times, depending on what their expertise is, they're just a doer. They're just going to do the task that you're telling them to do. And a problem that I was running into when I would help earlier on, when I would help people hire a virtual assistant, they would feel like you agree on this set amount, and I don't have anything for them to do. And we kept running into that problem. So that's when I realized it wasn't even a hiring issue. It was more of like a delegation or release of control issue. So that's why I say it's always more.
There is definitely, and we don't like saying that the problem is me. It feels uncomfortable to recognize that I need to deal with me. Now, you also teach that that leadership is more than hiring, that there's a need for emotional intelligence in ourselves, which goes back to what you just said. The problem may be me. And how do you
Mhm.
help your clients not just develop the strategy? So someone comes to you and they say, this is what my situation is. I'm totally at loss. I'm overwhelmed. I need your help. What is the first process in your process that you take them through, especially when we lean into your program, Team Ready Intensive? What is
Mhm.
the first step in this journey that you take them through? Mm,
Identity. It's recognizing your identity. Your business is not who you are or what you do. A lot of times we may deliver a service, but that's not our role. That's not our
mm-hmm,
expertise. The outcome may be your expertise, sometimes it's
mm-hmm,
not. But I being able to identify a few things like your communication style. How do you communicate with others? How do you prefer to communicate with others? And then what is your role in your business? Because just because and that's why I say founders and CEOs, because just because you're a founder doesn't mean you are a CEO, or you should be a
mm-hmm,
CEO. Every founder is not a CEO. Um,
mm,
there are different roles in business, and you have to identify what your role is within your own
mm-hmm.
business.
That's huge. I don't think I've ever heard it said that way. Not every founder is a CEO because there's such a push towards this shift towards being a CEO, but you may not.
Mhm.
So, what is the difference between a founder and a CEO?
Right. So if you are a founder, you are definitely you are you are the person who started the business. You are the person who the LLCs, like the paperwork, like you getting it all
Mm-hmm.
together. You're probably the one that is looking at grants and funding and all these things. Like you're actually getting the business off the
Mm-hmm.
ground. Let's say that, especially in startup mode. You're probably like started the business from your idea to,
Mm-hmm.
now it's a real thing. Now, when you hire a CEO, just we can even think about companies like Walmart, McDonald's, Target. The person who founded the company generally are not the CEO of
Mm-hmm.
the company, because the CEO of the company has is more of a
Mm-hmm.
visionary. They have to see the
Mm-hmm.
future. So founders get it started. They're the base.
Mm.
They set the tone. They set the mission goals. This is what we're doing. This is how we do it. This is our what's the word I'm looking for?
Mm-hmm.
Mission. But when you are the visionary, you're the one that carries it. Like, okay, this is what we are founded on, and this is how we're going to move forward for the next 10, 15, 20
Mm-hmm.
years. You set the plan. You put plans in place to execute to your
Mm-hmm.
team. And honestly, you can be a single founder, but you can't be a single member
Hmm.
CEO. So you have to have a team in order to be a CEO. That's definitely a indicator there as well.
You have to have a team.
Hmm. Because the CEO is an executive. You know,
Executive.
they're right, right. Like sometimes I just so okay, but yeah, you got to be instructing other people to do
That is so
something
good.
in your organization
I think
chart.
that's a key mind shift right there that a lot of people miss is you need as a CEO, you need to be able to have other people that you delegate to. So tell us a
Hmm.
little bit about the Team Ready Intensive and how is it different from other stuff that are out there?
Right. So Team Ready Intensive is a done for you service that literally walks founders into preparing to be a
Okay.
CEO. And by that, it is walking through identifying all the things we kind of talked about while we were here, identifying your role, creating your system, well, a lot of times we create the system or document and or
Mm-hmm.
document, because a lot of times you're doing the things, we just need to
Mm-hmm.
document them. And sometimes things are not in place. Maybe you didn't even think about it that way because it's just you. So, but like I said, we want to create systems to where if you're not here or it's a bad day, how can I give this to CG for her to do
Mm-hmm.
it? So it's documenting and delegating and then building and automating. And that's usually done in 6 weeks or
Okay.
less, because and for team ready intensive, aesthetic is always the standard, because a lot of times when people are thinking about systems, they're thinking about, oh, this clunky thing, it's gonna sound like a robot, it's gonna look, I'm gonna lose my clients. They like to talk to me, they like to whatever. A lot of times people don't, my clients, the people that I work with, they love their clients so much, and I love that they love their
Mm-hmm.
clients, but they feel like the reason why they can't automate things is because it will give that robotic feel, but automation doesn't have to feel
Mm-hmm.
robotic at all. It's about team ready is really about preparing your business to be able to communicate with others versus it just being you. You know
Mm-hmm.
everything and no one knows
Now,
nothing. So it's
now, why is that what you offer important versus just downloading a template somewhere, the done for you component? Why is that so critical?
right. So I've tried. I have templates for you, but it doesn't get done because a lot of times, a lot of times, if you're already, busy, you're already feeling overwhelmed. You need help, and that's what, going back to when I was saying, wait before you hire a virtual
Mm-hmm.
assistant, because if you hire a virtual assistant with no systems, that
Mm-hmm.
and you will not have any results. So basically, team ready is that in between squeeze before
Mm-hmm.
you get ready to hire your first team member.
So that it will be economically viable. It will be,
And you'll be able to hire a income generating team member
that's so good.
versus hiring the person to kind of try to build the system, but you don't know what to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
I,
That's so
I sent
important.
you, and I'm sending you emails. They lost the email. Like, it's so many things. The ball's getting dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Team ready is that in between squeeze right before. I always say, if you plan to hire someone between the next 6 to 18 months, team ready
Mm-hmm.
is definitely for you.
That's
For
so
sure.
good. Okay. Now, what does it actually look like in the back end to build systems that allow you to onboard, train, and delegate with clarity? Especially, like you said, for women that are already feeling overwhelmed, what is this going to take in terms of my time, my energy that I already say I don't really have?
Hmm.
Um, and if I feel like this literally, which is, and I'm asking because this is something I'm in the process of doing too, right? And in my mind, and when I even narrate it and I speak it, it feels like I'm starting from scratch. I'm literally having to go to the ground and build back up, but this time build back up right in a way that does not revolve around me. But so what does that actually look like in process?
Yes. So that process looks like having a place that you call work. A lot
Uh-huh.
of times, I've my clients that I've worked with before they started working with me, they had all these apps that they paid for and never logged into because somebody told them they needed it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Having things, so it looks like having a cohesive branded system
Okay.
that you can log into one system and it shows you what's going on in your business.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like being able to create a system that gives you the information that you need about your processes, your clients, and your numbers, to where you can make informed decisions and you're not just guessing.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like knowing the tone of your the tone of your customer's voice. I'm sorry, your clients, your company's voice, so you can speak to your clients like it's you,
Mhm.
even when it's not.
Mhm.
We especially since the rise of AI right now, we see all these things. It's like, girl, you did not write this, and not that not that
Mhm.
people already don't really care, but sometimes they don't care. But
Mhm.
when you want to create a relationship with people and you want to extend your customer journey, you definitely want to have a consistent tone when people don't feel like they're talking to somebody else, because it shouldn't
Mhm.
matter whether you hire someone and they stay 6 months or 6 years. When that transition happens, there should not be any indication to the customer.
Mhm. So it should be something that can be applied regardless of who's there, when they're there. Again, it's that smooth operating machine that
Hmm.
is not dependent on a person, but on what actually needs to be done.
Right, because a lot of times people feel like they need to hire just like the best. I gotta have and I'm not saying, I mean, I do systems and automations as well, but then there's someone that probably charges less than me
Mhm.
or whatever. And as I transition from being the service provider, there are other people that still do the service.
Mhm.
And what I'm basically saying is, it shouldn't matter how you don't have to have like a player every single
Mhm.
time. Your
Mhm.
system should be so documented to where even if you're a C player, you should be
Mhm.
able to read and follow directions.
Mhm.
Basically. You see what I'm
Yes.
saying? Versus I have
Absolutely.
to get the most paid. And just to be honest, like when you are just starting to outsource and delegate things, a lot of times we don't have it in our budget to get the highest.
Mhm.
Like just being honest, like we're not working with
Mhm.
Fortune 500 payroll dollars here. Like we need every dollar to count. So sometimes it's
Absolutely.
like getting um someone with less experience and then training them on our process.
Mhm.
But we need a process to be able to train them on. And
Yeah.
back again, that's what Team Ready is. They're walking into an already built system versus
Mhm.
you trying to build a system and train them and learn their communications. Like instead of doing all the things, that's pretty much the difference of like you being hired to go work a job and they're like, okay, girl, what time you want to come to work? Like, well, what time, what colors we want to wear? It's like, I just work here.
Mhm.
It's not my job to figure out how to run your business. And a lot of times that's what hiring a virtual assistant without systems or structure is going to look like to the virtual assistant. And the more you're willing to do for them, the easier you make their workload, the more they're going to be willing to do for you and your company.
Absolutely. So let's shift a little bit to personal systems. As a woman of God, as a kingdom woman, how do you? Because alignment is key, right?
Hmm.
We want to make sure that the peace that we want to create in our business is also the peace that we experience in our own lives, and that's why we got to invest in getting the help that we need to create these systems.
Hmm.
So for the woman that needs to reclaim her peace from your own life, how do you create that alignment? What are your personal systems that
Hmm.
allow you to stay grounded, not only as a woman in business that's running an amazing business, but as a woman that is managing her family, her personal life, and all these different things while scaling, while growing, while building? What does that look like for you? Spiritual alignment, grounding in your own personal life.
Right. That's a great question. So to me, I'm my best self when I journal.
Mhm.
I'm my best self when I write my thoughts down on routine. One of my favorite devotional journals is Marshawn Daniels. I actually have it somewhere over here.
100 Days of Believing.
The repeat. I can repeat that. It's
I've
like,
got like 3 copies of that.
yeah, recommend. I was like, I need to be an affiliate for this lady because I recommend that book, or I'll
Mhm.
recommend it, or just send a link, or like, girl, what's your address? You need this. Um, it looks like creating space to hear from
Mhm.
God. Just this morning, and when we were talking earlier, you said this is so on time, and I'm thinking, yeah, for me too. Because just this morning, I was talking with some of my friends, and we're all women in business, women of faith, and we were just talking about like the importance of taking sabbaticals
Mhm.
and in entrepreneurship, because I feel like the enemy wants to keep us busy,
Yes.
because when we are busy, we can't hear from God. We can't.
Mhm.
We have to believe in other outside forces
Mhm.
to tell us what needs to be done,
Mhm.
because we're not sitting still long enough to hear his instruction.
Yeah.
So I intentionally create white space in my calendar a
Mhm.
lot of times. And I was laughing with them this morning. I'm like, people really feel like I don't do, like, sometimes like, you're not over there doing nothing. Can you go to, that's a whole nother topic, creating your business. A
Uh-huh.
whole other
That was
topic.
my next question. The
Oh, really?
boundaries around that white space.
Yes, 'cause people don't want you to have white space on your calendar. They're like,
Mhm.
you need to be doing something, but you don't realize, like, especially when you are leading a business and leading others, or preparing to lead others, you have to have that time to think.
Mhm.
Like, you have to have that clarity, like making sure, Lord, let me say the things that need to be said. Let
Mhm.
the words that come out of my mouth need to be heard by the people that are here.
Mhm.
I recently, earlier this year, I started leading a small group at church, and that's something I
Mhm.
never thought I would do. Um, but now I have the time to,
Mhm.
like, there was a time where I wore, like, I'm busy. Like, I used to think it was so cute, and it
Mhm.
wasn't. It wasn't. But going back to, it's just like the systems for your faith systems,
Mhm.
your prayer systems,
Mhm.
even just in my home. I talked about earlier, what we're gonna eat. I mean,
Mhm.
we don't eat the same thing, but it's in the family.
Yeah.
It's like meals
Absolutely.
for days. Like, let's not overthink it. So
Mhm.
just focusing on things that are important, and the things that are not as important. Let's not use too many
Mhm.
details on it. Let's not overcomplicate the things that
Mhm.
don't need to be.
Yeah. There's a book called Relentless.
I have that with my, is it Michael? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and it talks about pro athletes and how they have these. You mentioned this earlier. A lot of times when we think structure and systems, we think boring.
Yes.
And yet, when you look at a lot of high performing athletes, a lot of high performing individuals, it is the boring, it is the routine, it is that freeing up space, decision fatigue, letting go of that actually allows you, frees up your energy to channel it into being able to achieve more. But we need to get rid of that block around, oh, it's boring, like the same
Mhm.
thing every day, the same routine. Like, we've got to release that mental blockage that resists having same. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. There's no, he is creative, but he is predictable and he is
It's
consistent.
predictable. That's the part. One thing, when you were just talking, it reminded me of something. Years ago, one of my friends, we sat down and we created my signature look years ago. And let me
Mhm.
tell you, you think that doesn't matter, but it does. So
Mm.
creating your signature look, because even when I started thinking about it, what's his not the Facebook, what's the job? What is the guy that does Facebook? They're like, he wears the same shirt and jeans, the same type, the same color every single day. And I
Mhm.
started recognizing it. So I started doing the same thing with my nails. I don't do it. Well, now I'm starting to venture out, because I always used to get my nails the same. So I would not have to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
When we created my signature look, we talked about my hair. My hair is always going to be curly or some kind of texture style.
Mm-hmm.
I usually wear like just because it helps so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's down to the point. It was like she was speaking. That's why it's so important to have amazing people in your life, because I wasn't even nowhere near trying to need somebody to do anything for me. I think this isn't so many years ago, but she was like, one day you're gonna need somebody to help you find your clothes. You're
Mm-hmm.
gonna need the lip gloss or the lip color that I wear is always gonna be some shade of pink or nude.
Mm-hmm.
It's no need of me trying to wear red or figure out what color red to wear because that's not my color. Like, it was so detailed, and this has been years ago. But that one little thing is not technical at all. It's not system. It's not automation. Any of that. But creating one area in your life where you can create something that's structured
Mm-hmm.
has helped me so much.
A predictability, because it also cuts down on the running dialogues in your head, the decision making pending dialogues in
Mm-hmm.
your head, because that decision is made, closed tab, decision made, closed tab. And so that is really key. And that builds those rhythms, because now you have that rhythm going on with what to wear. I don't have to make a decision about that. What to eat, I don't have to make a decision about that. What my makeup looks like, don't have to make a decision like that about that. Like, it's closing out all those running dialogues, which helps with the burnout.
Close tabs in your brain. Because when you have a lot of tabs on your computer, what does your computer do?
Slows down.
Close down.
Crashes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
more tabs you get to close, the quick. And if that's so with the computer, think about our bodies.
Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
So we're wrapping it up. I know we gotta go. So, generational impact. How has what you've done, what you've built personally and on a business front, building these systems, how has it impacted your children? How has it impacted the generational impact, not just that moment? What is the long-term effects of building these systems?
I think for me, it tickles me because my kids are like little me's. Like, they have their calendars, they have their sticky notes. Um, they like to journal. Like, they have their
Mm-hmm.
morning routines or an evening routines, and that's something. To be honest, that's something that I did not see my mom doing growing up. Like, my mom was like all about us to the point where she would just be. It's being. I think now my mom is more, oh, let me self-care type stuff, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't grow up seeing my mom talking about self-care at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to believe that that's something generational that will change for
Mm-hmm.
women in my family to prioritize themselves before overly giving to one another.
Absolutely. And they're going to build that very core thing that you said. They're going to build your girl mom, right?
I'm a girl. Oh, yes.
So you're breeding generations of girls that will build businesses, that will build empires, that will succeed, that won't fail. They will launch things that will sustain and grow beyond them, because you put it in play, not just for you, but for them, because they will have, instead of having to learn and make the mistakes and then correct the mistakes, course correct, they will have learned and build things from scratch that they don't have to recover from,
Right.
that they
As
can
you know.
build.
Right.
Yes.
And knowing that self-care is just the standard. It's not like you're doing anything extra. Like, that's a baseline. At the minimum, you should take care of yourself. At the minimum, you should have, things in order to where you can think. Because if you're gonna do like amazing things, like we're out here building these businesses, you're building this amazing practice. That's big. So we
Mm-hmm.
can't let things like, did I send that email?
Yeah.
Come on, like that's I hate to say it, but that's so it's necessary, it's needed,
Mm-hmm.
but you have so much more to think about. You have all these amazing people that you're gonna encounter. Their lives are in your hands, basically. So
Mm-hmm.
let's not worry about whether an email was sent or did this file deliver or whatever the case may be. Those are just like the little droplets of what you do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the
Absolutely.
outcome of what you do.
Amen to that. So, how can people connect with you and work with you? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, again, my name is CG. You can find me on all social media platforms at cg.co, and that is also my website, cg.co, SYGIE dot CE. I'm sorry, dot CO. Sorry, cg.co. And yes, I work with female founders. I work with small teams and organizations helping create these things, build workflows and systems and manage teams. So I would love to connect with you. Have any questions? Hey, go to my website and schedule a complimentary business assessment.
Awesome. Y'all, please connect with her. I will have these in the show notes, every link to her Instagram or social media pages, as well as the link to book a consultation call with her. I know I'm going to reach out to you because I need the help. But I really want to thank you for saying yes to this conversation and for being the woman that you are and doing the work that you do, because it is absolutely necessary for us to lean into this support so that we can build things that allow us to free our time to actually build meaningful lives, not just meaningful businesses, but meaningful lives
Um,
that outlive us and allow us to create memories that we want to create
that we
versus being stuck at the computer all day, all night, doing the hustle. And so I just want to say thank you. Any final words that
No,
you want to
this
say
has been
today?
amazing. I had so much fun.
Thank
I
you.
thank you so much for the invitation, and I look forward to working with you again in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope that you got something valuable from today's episode. Until next time, y'all, stay unleashed, stay powerful, stay in the process of healing, leading boldly, and doing the things you need to do to create a legacy that outlives you. Remember, you were born for this. You are needed and necessary. Healthy, though. So we will see you on the next episode. God bless and take care.
All right.